Hello, good morning, friends.
Good morning, everybody.
We are live. I am live from a surprise location in the church. I got to surprise Barb this morning by making a guest appearance in her office. So we're having a fun day here at the church.
And I'm making a guest appearance in my home office, which is also my bedroom.
So we've got two offices going, and how fun is that? So we are hopping on today to start our sermon series. So Barb, you want to share about this sermon series?
Sure. Well, we are doing our second annual Parker Goes to the Movies, and we are, through the rest of the summer, going to take movies that are relatively new, the last 5-7 years, and some very popular and some hardly seen at all. And so we're looking forward to it. And, it's a way for us to take scripture and apply it to our everyday lives, and with a sense of relevancy. And also, as I talked about in the Acts sermon series, and we talked about in the Daring to Dance Again, this is really just another way to exemplify how stories are told about our faith. So, yeah. And Cody picked she's preaching this week, and doggone it, she picked one that made me cry about 4 times last night.
I cried no less than 5 times. And my kids made fun of me the entire time with it. So one thing I love, first of all, about movies is the way in which they can share with us another story, so either through someone else's eyes, but also the way in which we can interconnect that with our faith. And we can see the way in which we can hear the scriptures come out in people's lives. It kind of reminds me of the stories of the Old Testament when we watch or when we read them. They almost can come to life with to us, and they show us God through their lives, their perspectives. And so movies are kind of the same way in that they can share with us. And so the first movie that we picked, shared so much about who God is. And so our first movie is Wonder. Wonder. It is a movie from a few years ago based on this book. This is how I first heard about the entire premise through this book by R.J. Palacio, and it is a fabulous book. My kids had to read it in school. It shares the life of Auggie, who is a 10-year-old going into 5th grade and starting a middle school. So it's a new school, and that is a hard enough, right there, that's a hard enough story.
I know. Right at the beginning, I was like, what? Your first experience is going to be middle school?
Yeah,
Holy moly.
He was homeschooled this whole time before, and so his world starts in school, getting around other kids in middle school. So we all know how traumatic middle school is anyway, how traumatic those years are. But then to top it off, Auggie has a facial deformity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could not find the word because it's Wednesday apparently, but it feels like Monday. He has a facial deformity that makes him set apart. Like when people see him, they know automatically that he is different. And he talks a lot about his experience with people staring at him, with some of that he becomes friends with. Their parents share about, how their kids have stared. And so he shares a lot about that experience. One of the signatures in the movie is him wearing that helmet.
That's
an astronaut.
Yes, astronaut. Yeah.
And so he walks around New York with this helmet on, and he's protected because nobody knows that he is any different. And I was thinking about our own lives and how not all of us wear an actual helmet, but a lot of us have, something that we kind of cover ourselves with, a mask, that we try to hide those things that we're afraid if people saw them, they would not want to be with us. They would not want to be friends with us. They wouldn't want to talk to us. They would think badly about us. So it is one of those places that I could just kind of think about, reflect on my own life of like, what do I put on that separates me and hides my true self from
Yeah.
other people?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good observation. And when I was watching it as well, one of the things that struck me in the very beginning was the courage, not only Augie's courage to go to start school, which he was, he was afraid, and understandably so, but the courage of his parents.
Yeah.
The courage of his parents that at some point they were going to have to, that Auggie was going to have to move out into the world, that they could not protect him. They had prepared him as best they could, but they could not protect him from, the slings and arrows of everyday life. And as Auggie has this little running commentary throughout the movie where he reflects on things for us. And one of the things he says at the very beginning is, kids are harder. Kids are harder because they, as he said, they look away, and then they look back. And there's no getting around it. And so the courage of his parents, knowing what he was going to experience. And you just, as a parent, you feel their angst for sure.
Yeah, and his parents are played by Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts, and they are amazing in the film. You just relate to them as people, as parents. In Owen Wilson as the dad, he comes at it with humor. Like, he tries to always bring humor into it, and his mom, you can tell, has that, Julia Roberts has that really tender string that is just attached to him, an ache for him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of the other things I really liked about this movie, and last night was the first time I had seen it, and I will definitely watch it again, but there are these vignettes of all the characters, the primary characters. There's Auggie, but then there's his parents and his sister, Jack, the little boy, who really goes through his own metamorphosis. But as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, the movie is doing exactly what you said at the beginning, Cody. It's showing the things that we hide and aren't aware of in everyone's life. And so you come at the same story from different perspectives. That of his sister, who really has, in some ways, become invisible. So yeah, I love that, because it's everybody in their own way is a wonder.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about his mom sending him to 5th grade, and she really tried to set him up for success of going to a new school. She had homeschooled him. She'd done a fabulous job. He is far ahead of all of his classmates, which kind of sets them off a little bit. They don't quite know how to handle that, because they think that just because the way he looks, he's going to also not be able to be up to their standards of education. But he goes to school for that first day, and he'd met a few kids before, before school started, to kind of let him know some kids. But there is an obvious bully in this story, and he kind of gets this concerted effort to get a whole bunch of kids behind it. So not only does he look different, and kids are like hard to keep that hidden from them, but they also have these moments of extreme bullying. So his first day of school, it was a really hard day. And when he finally shares with his mom how hard it is, she says, when someone acts small, you just have to be the bigger person. And I was thinking, gosh, that is the hardest thing ever. But that is also the call as a Christian. It
Yes.
very much echoes Jesus's words of, if somebody strikes your cheek, offer them your other cheek. If someone asks you to carry something for a mile, go two. You know, if someone takes something from you, offer them your cloak as well. There's these moments of thinking about, how are we called to be the bigger person? Because we live in a society where people go small a lot. And so I think that's a really hard place sometimes for us to fall on, but it's a really good reflection of what that can look like. And this movie shows how that can change people's lives just by being able to be that bigger person.
Yeah, I love the, I don't know, the kindness, the willingness, and the clarity of who she is in the character of Summer. And
this little girl who,
who's a little girl, and one of his classmates, and she finally decides that she is tired of sitting at the lunch table where people are, where everybody's joining into the popular notion of making fun of Auggie. She picks up her tray, she goes and sits down with him. He can't really take that in. And so she gets a little frustrated with him, you know? Because she's very clear about why she's doing that. And it's because she has a understanding of what it means to clothe yourself in kindness. And to be very, very much her own person. And in the process, she's teaching Auggie and others.
Who are watching her like really closely to see what she's doing and why she's doing it. So, and Auggie, it was really interesting to watch Auggie in that moment, because he's been hurt so much by these kids. He just feels like she has bad intentions. So he then judges her in the same way that people are judging him, and she calls him on it, which it was a moment of like, no, you don't get away with this either. Like, I'm here because I want to be here. I want nice friends for a change. So.
Yeah. One of the other things I really like about this is the principal, or the headmaster, who's played by
Tishman.
Tishman, Mandy Patinkin, however you say his last name, and then also the teacher who starts the classes with these precepts, and asks the and I think you froze on me, Cody.
Well, you look froze on me too, so we'll just keep talking and see.
Okay, all right, we'll keep. No, there we are. Okay, hey. But anyway, so two of the precepts that I wrote down: when given the choice, being right and being kind, choose kind. And then the other was, your deeds are your monuments. And that's such a great statement, isn't it?
It is. Well, and I love that too, of him starting the class in that way, of these rules that they were going to focus on and live by. I mean, there are these beautiful ways to set the atmosphere of kindness in that space. Now, not everyone chose that, but it did elevate the expectation and the possibilities for kids, kind of sparking their imagination. Summer is the one that reads the first precept of that, whether you can be right or kind, choose kind. And her face lights up in this moment. Like, you can just see that moment of, that's what I want to be. Like, yeah, that's an awesome statement. And that's what I want to reflect in my life. And so I'm curious what precepts we have that guide our lives. You know, are there certain mantras that we hold on to? Are there precepts that guide how we're going to act out in the world? Have we thought enough about that, or do we just react to the world as well?
That is such a great question, and really one for those who tune into our conversation to really kind of ponder for yourself. I know for me, the one that comes to me immediately is that I live by the rule that life is a gift, and that you take nothing for granted, because each day when you get up, it's just windfall. It's hey, I made another day, and I'm gonna live it to the fullest. And I fail,
Yeah.
but I still live by that. And so yeah, that's a great question. What are those cornerstones in our lives, and as Christians, one of those certainly is our faith in Christ, and our understanding of the active nature of Christ through the Holy Spirit, and that we're not in this alone.
Yeah. And I think too, as United Methodists, one of them is grace, right? Like that, for me, that's a cornerstone in my life is grace abounds for me
Yes.
when I make mistakes, for others when they're not living their best, and it allows me to offer grace to others. And so my kids get tired of me always saying, choose grace, let's choose grace in this moment, because
Yeah.
even as a family, we know that we're not our best selves all the time, and sometimes we have to choose that grace, to offer that grace to somebody else who's not quite their best selves as well. So some great
Absolutely.
cornerstones that really set our lives apart.
I would guess, as good United Methodists, that we will talk about grace every single week as we go through, because grace really is a foundation of who we are as Christians, and how we frame it, how we frame our understanding of God's amazing love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that stood out to you? We don't want to give away the end of the story.
No,
We'll talk
no, we
about
don't.
that on Sunday. So, but
Yeah.
was there anything else that kind of really hit with you, kind of deep inside?
Well, I really resonated with Via, his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and she was she was in the background, some of it by her choosing, some of it not by her choosing, some of it, really it was getting to her at some point. But at the same time, she is the big sister who always steps in and speaks truth to Auggie when maybe sometimes his parents aren't able to.
Yeah.
And I loved it when on the first day of school, when she bent down and she whispered into the astronaut helmet, you can't blend in when you were born to stand out.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't that just the best statement? And
Yes.
I think about that too in our Christian lives, of like how often we try to blend into the world or blend into those around us, but
Preach
we're
it.
called
Preach
to
it.
stand out.
Yeah,
So
we are.
I mean, what a truth for that. And there might be some resonation or some stuff that comes up in our sermon on Sunday that might reflect that, because that was a powerful statement that she
Very much so.
said
Very
and
much so.
spoke into his life, into ours as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I got more, but I'm leaving it for your sermon.
Well, I have to say my other favorite character is Jack Wills,
I
who
love
is
Jack.
this kid
Yeah.
who wants to be friends with Auggie. He actually says, when you get past his looks, like, he's really a cool guy. So he sees that beauty within Auggie, but he also has this moment of trying to fit in, like every teenager, almost preteen does, of, gosh, I don't know if I want to stand out that much. And so
Right.
he talked about his journey a little bit. It is a beautiful story of
It
friendship
is.
and Auggie giving him some forgiveness and grace in those moments where he's struggling as well. So
Yes. Yes. And I love how it's through a Minecraft game.
yes.
You know, As a grandmother whose granddaughter is on Minecraft all the time,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know that game.
Oh, my kids were like, Mom, see, you need to get Minecraft. And I said, why? I could just talk to you right here. But yes, it was a perfect kid moment. So
It was. Yeah.
well, I watched this film on Amazon. I did have to rent it, so it was like $3.99 to rent, but
Right.
so worth it. I actually ended up buying the video, the film, because it is just so powerful. It's one that I want to go back to time and time again, even though I cried 5 times. It is just one that just really touched my spirit and made me feel better about life with just watching film. So
Yes. And that's such a great point, Cody, in that, we can just get so bogged down with the cynicism of culture. And these parents, this family, and the surrounding characters, I mean, even to the point where the bully at one point realizes what he's missing.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a really heartfelt moment, and I felt very sad. But it's such an uplifting movie. You just come away going, there's such amazing people in this world.
And one that I feel like, even though I've watched it a couple times now, but I just feel like there's so much more I didn't grasp because there's so much depth within it. So wonderful movie. I'm sure you can rent it from the borrow it from the library if you need. Did you watch it on Amazon as well?
I did.
So Amazon probably would be a great place for that, but I'm sure there's other places as well. We just wanted to give you a few options of how you can see this movie, but trust us, you're not going to want to miss it. It is fabulous. So
yeah, it is. And so this week is Wonder, and then next week, if you want to plan ahead, will be the movie Lion, not the Lion King, which is later, but Lion. So next week we'll be talking about Lion.
All right. So we'll see you on Sunday morning, my friends, to talk more about this, but watch it ahead of time. Gather your family. It's a wonderful family film. Grab some popcorn, and we'll see you on Sunday as we continue to go to the movies. So
sounds great. This is fun, Cody, and it's Cody and Barb do cinema theology.
That is right. We're glad you joined us today. If you're watching later, glad you joined us as well. If you have key insights about Wonder that you watch and you want to let us know, like put them in the comments, share them with us. You might just have a quote in this sermon. You never know. So my kids would be happy to not have their names in it. So
all right.
Well, have a great day,
everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.